Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. We're going to be doing a double ball load in 16 gauge. Specifically, these are 55 caliber round balls. Now these were sent to us over the summer, like back in early July, and I kind of forgot about them. I misplaced the bag in my wife's car. It was in the little pocket in the back seat. Well, I found it the other day, and well, I realized, I should probably get to using these. I know he probably wanted to see us do something with them. He also sent a couple shells, and well, I found those too. And guy, if you're watching this, you sent these, let us know down in the comments. I cannot remember your name. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can see these are 55 caliber round balls. They are useful in 24 gauge, 28 gauge, 20 gauge, 16 gauge, 12, 10, depending on how you stack it and make them fit. But they'll work pretty much in 28 gauge and up. Two of these together weigh exactly 1.1 ounces, 1.12 on the scale, so that's great. The most common 16 gauge Magnum load is 1.1 ounces, but I consider it to be 1.25 ounces, but that's besides the point. There's plenty of 1.1 ounces load data for 16 gauge, so any 1.1 ounces data you find can be used here for this load. Now that being said, the components I'm using is a once fired Fiocchi. This was the Field Dynamics high velocity. This was 1300 FPS and 1.1 ounce payload of 7.5 shot, so nice stout squirrel load. If you want to use 7.5 shot for squirrels, I know a lot of people like to use 4, 5, or 6, but 7.5 is fine too. Yep, this is once fired. We'll start by depriming and resizing this. If you guys hear that in the background, that is a couple kittens making a bunch of noise on a styrofoam cooler. We're using some long shot powder. The wad is the CSD 16. These come unslit, so we will have to slit it ourselves. We're using a 1/4 inch 20 gauge fiber cushion wad, but you could also use felt or cork if you have those. And of course the 55 caliber round balls. Again, we're using 2 of them. And for buffer, we're using some Ballistic Products ITX buffer. You don't have to use buffer, but with these round balls, it really will help a lot. We're going to start by depriming and resizing, as always. This is my 12 gauge ring. No, it ain't. That's 16 gauge. Anyway, we're going to start off by depriming and resizing. As always, using Elite Load All. Well, not always. I do use Josh's Herder sometimes, but it's a clone of a mech. But we are deprimed and resized. We're going back with a Fiocchi primer. Just a regular Fiocchi, because this is a Fiocchi haul. You could use Shadats, Winchesters, whatever you got, and that primer fits tight. I think this haul had an American sized primer pocket. Guys, I don't load these Fiocchis that often. I like Shadats better, and I think that these Fiocchis have an American sized primer pocket, and I probably just stretched it out. That's fine though. I have a primer pocket conditioner. It's a little annoying when things just keep changing up on you. But anyway, we are now deprimed and resized. We need 23 grains of long shot. This is going to get us about 1300 FPS. We have chronoed a bunch of similar loads, 1.1 ounce payload with the CSD 16 and 23 grains of long shot. It's usually between 1300 and 1350 FPS, which is awesome. This bottle of long shot is almost empty. I might have 50 grains left in it. Guys, we go through long shots so fast it ain't even funny. I can't even get a full dipper full, or yeah, scoop full. This is gonna take a while. Okay, we have our 23 grains of long shot. Now this is Gary Caskey's 4-pedal adjustable 16 gauge wad slitter. Guys, I've used this thing so much you can't even see the writing on it no more hardly. It's just about worn off. I load a lot of 16 gauge, but we're going to slit this a full slit right through the little vents in the wad. I'll show you that in just a second. It's just that easy. All you do is push down. We have 4 pedals and a full cut, and I slit right into these vents you see on the bottom of the wad. The lighting is just not playing along today, guys. It's best to go ahead and slit the CSD wads in the LBC 50s with a full cut. They are very thick wads, and we've noticed if you don't full cut them, especially with buckshot, the pellets won't leave the wad sometimes. Not all of them will. and then the whole wad behaves more like a slug, and you really don't want that, especially with whatever you're trying to do buckshot with. Yeah, you just don't want that. Next, we need our 20 gauge 1/4 inch cushion wad. Could be fiber, felt, cork, whatever you got. I'm using fiber wad. That is in place. I seated that with, again, one of Gary's tools. This is his wad nudgers. I call them wad tampers, but they are magnetic. They'll stick to whatever you want them to stick to. Well, that was a bad example, wasn't it? But there you go. It's magnetic. Dang lighting. Maybe that's better. I don't know. I adjusted the light. But next, we need to add a little bit of compression to that fiber cushion wad. Alright, we got that now. Just drop your 55 cal round balls in there and add your buffer if you want to use buffer. As this sits right now, it's a 1 1/8 ounce load exactly. If you add your buffer, it's going to bring it up to 1.15, which is just a hair more than 1 1/8. You can still use the same powder charge. We have used up to 1.25 ounces with 23 grains of long shot in the CSD wads, and that does great too. Last step here, we're going to use one thin slice of a 16 gauge nitro card right on top. That's going to give us a little bit better crimp and also help keep the buffer in. This has a 6-point crimp, so front station of the reload all, and for 16 and 20 gauge you want a crease, or I call them valleys, between the 2 points. You want that facing you. Let's see if I got it lined up right. I think I do. I'm standing at the press sideways, it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, but looks like we got it. Really nice looking pre-crimp. Oh yeah. Crimp looks great. We got a little bit of a pinhole right in the middle of it. So what I'm going to do is seal that up with clear nail polish. Could have used a little bit more of an overshot card, but that's fine. The nitro card in there, or overshot card, will stop the buffer from leaking out. And the nail polish here is just extra insurance, but we have a really nice crimp on it. And guys, that right there is how I put together a double 55 cal round ball in 16 gauge. Using that CSD 16 wad, should be able to get a really nice pattern. We've also used the BP 1680 wad with the exact same load data and gotten nearly the same results. I actually do think the BP 1680 pattern's just a little bit better than the CSD. I know for a long time the CSD 16 wads were really hard to get, but about 2 months ago they came back in stock. That's a great thing to have. And this next load I'm doing is for the guys out there that have a bunch of the Winchester compression form 16 gauge hulls that are discontinued as of about 20 years ago. These hulls are tapered. Again, these are tapered, and this is actually my favorite 16 gauge hull to reload. They last a long time. Just a great hull. With tapered hulls, you can use a little bit less powder and still get the same velocity, so that's really nice. Saves you a little bit of powder. I know powder's expensive. Once again, start by depriming and resizing. Guys, I've noticed these compression formed hulls, sometimes you ain't even got to resize them. Like, I should be able just to, yep. It went all the way down. See that? I pulled it right out of the box of once fired. It's pretty cool. So anyway, ain't got to use the ring, just go ahead and knock the primer out. I'm going back with a Federal 209A. Beautiful. That was easy. For this one, I'm going to use 22 grains of long shot. I know you're not supposed to do this, but, well, that bottle's pretty much empty, and I just washed my hands. So, let's see if we can get 22 grains. 20. Okay, now we have our 22 grains. Guys, that bottle is so close to being empty, it ain't even funny. And for this load, we're using the Claybuster Blue Wad. Now, this is made for Winchester hulls. This is a clone of the Winchester WAA 16 Wad, which Winchester no longer sells, but it fits these tapered hulls like a glove because it was meant for them. If you use these in straight wall, well, you have to pinch out the gas seal or use a piece of paper towel or napkin around the gas seal of the wad. Now, it's one of my favorite 16 gauge wads anyway. Go ahead and drop your two 55 cal round balls in there, and they come up right to the top of the wad, exactly where you want to be. Go ahead and throw in some buffer. It don't take much at all. And this load should not need an overshot card because these compression formed hulls, doesn't matter what gauge it is, they always crimp like they just left the factory floor. Let's see how it goes with this one. This has an 8-point crimp, so backstation, again, crease or valley between the points facing you. Beautiful pre-crimp. Should come out good, guys. Should have it. And what do you know? That looks excellent to me. Man, that lighting just makes things so hard to see today. I don't know what it is, but we have a really good looking shell, and if you look closely at the top, you can see the Elite Load All actually puts a taper on compression form shells. That is cool. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. And if you want to, go check out our Patreon. It's as low as $1 a month, and you guys get early access to content. A link to that, as well as a link to our Instagram and Rumble accounts, will be in the description below. But other than that, you guys take it easy, and we'll see you in the next one.